Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. We are here with another episode with my friend, colleague, and an amazing man that is going to teach you how to turn your blahs into ahs to ignite your passion and your purpose. In his new book, Blase to Ablaze, he's going to teach you all of the different strategies to turn your obstacles, to turn your hurdles, to turn all of the different things that you may be dealing with in your circumstances, and how to burst through them so that you could reach your calling. Tim, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's an honor to be with you today.
I appreciate you, Tim. So before we get started, I could introduce you for hours, but how would you introduce yourself, and how are you using your story to be able to change lives?
Well, this has been a remarkable journey. It really began, long ago. The actual journey began many, many decades ago. But this journey to this book really began in 2018, and it really was triggered by two things. One, a change in a career, a loss of a job that I had for nearly 30 years, and I left a company that I loved and the people that I loved dearly. And so it had me asking the question, who is Tim Buwick? I mean, who am I really at my core? And this book specifically was triggered by a bumper sticker. And it was a bumper sticker that simply said, whatever. And I'm following this car for a while, and it just simply said, whatever. And the more I thought about it, the more amped up I got. So what type of person, trying not to be judgmental here, but what type of person puts a bumper sticker on their car that says whatever? What does that communicate? Now, it could be, hey, I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I'm just chilling out. I'm enjoying life. But it could also be apathy. I don't care. So anything you say or anything that happens in life or whatever, just roll with it. And I thought about it and I go, no, it's not whatever. It's whatever it takes. This is our one and only life. Whatever it takes to get to the next level and to find your passion and your purpose. And so this book started out as a journey, as a career transition book of stuck professionals that have kind of been in their same career, their same job for a while, and we're getting the blase. They were blasé about it. I've done this over and over, and the spark is gone, the passion is gone. And that's really how the book started. It then morphed due to a series of very difficult life circumstances with family trials and death in the family and close friends. And I broke my arm and shredded my shoulder, then open heart surgery a year ago. And all these things seem to happen, car accidents, and almost got to be comedic in a weird sort of way, because in the midst of all this, I still have a waterbed. Okay, so I love this waterbed, and I found that I was like, gosh, this is weird. It's kind of sinking. And I get, sometimes it evaporates a little, you got to fill it up. And then I put my hand down there. I go, oh no, the waterbed sprung a leak upstairs. Oh. So here I've got a broken arm. I asked my son to help, and these things are hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I said, Josh, we've got to try to pull this waterbed out and get it downstairs out in the front lawn to drain the thing. Well, as I rolled it over, it was like a sprinkler in the bedroom. All over the place. I go, uh-oh, Josh, plan B, get it to the shower, get it. And so we're trying to roll this thing. I can only use one arm because my other arm is broken. And that's where I thought, I go, man, you know what all I need to do? I've got a hot tub. I need to just relax. With all this going on, I'm going to take a hot tub. No joke, Kyle. I open up the hot tub cover. The hot tub's got a leak in it as well. It's half drained. And I go, oh, this is amazing. If you're familiar with the book of Job in the Bible, it kind of felt like that, where you go, okay, well, you're going to be tested. And so that's a long-winded way of saying that this book is born out of much pain, physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual pain. So it's not a rah, hey, just, don't worry, be happy, carpe diem. But how do we deal with very difficult life circumstances, not only in career, but also in your general life, in your personal life as well. And so it's an analysis of that.
That is absolutely amazing. And, I definitely understand the book of Job and the resiliency and the faith that it took him to continue to navigate, the different trials and tribulations that he was going through. And I know there's somebody listening in right now or watching right now on one of our platforms. And the question is, well, Tim, how do I get through it? I'm going through all of these different things. It feels like the world is just dropping new challenges and new, hurdles onto me. How does one navigate those times to continue to stay positive and faithful as they move forward?
Well, thank you for asking. And it really, this is a multi-year process for me, because it is daunting when we truly follow the dictum of Socrates, who said, know thyself. And how many of us truly at our core know who we are? And it's a little bit scary, because when we really do an analysis of who we are, once we know that and find where our natural gifts and abilities and passions are, that then we can start tying that together to truly live an ablazing life. And so where I started, the book is 5 chapters. And where I started with one is asking the question, who do you want to be? And trying to find an aspirational model of saying, is there somebody out there in your world, and it could be in your personal world, or somebody, a celebrity or someone who says, I would want to be that person. And I want to model and emulate their life, and find out who you want to be. And then you kind of look and then ask the question, well, why am I not there now? What are the blocks that are going through? And that's the 2nd chapter of Blase, where there are certain blocks that could be there, whether you're bored or lonely or ailing, or stuck or exhausted, which is Blase, an acronym. And it could be elements of all 5 of those. And so how do we come out of that? And then the 3rd chapter is really asking the question, who am I? And going through, and it's a systematic process that I walk through the book of doing an analysis. Where are your wins? Where are your gifts and abilities and skills? When people say that you're hitting on all cylinders, what are you doing at that time? Wow. And what would you do if no one paid you to do it? What do you do in your free time naturally? And so I think one of the most important aspects of the book is crafting your personal purpose and mission statement, of coming through and finding out what is your mission in the world. So for me, as I crafted this PMP, I call it, your personal mission and purpose statement, is to leave footprints on another person's heart by creating stick to your ribs type moments filled with light, laughter, and love. Now, that's my mission statement. So everything in life should align to how can I hit that on a daily basis in my world. Exactly. And am I being pulled in a direction that takes me off that mission statement? So the mission statement kind of serves as guardrails for us to say, so we come across opportunities all the time. Of course. Some could be very attractive. And there's a saying, say no to the good so you can say yes to the best. And so if we have a well-crafted personal purpose and mission statement, then we've got, okay, so I've had some job opportunities that have come to the fore recently. I go, you know what? I like the title. I could be attracted by the money. But what I really enjoy, is that how I'm wired? Exactly. Does it work within my gift mix? No. And so that's the 3rd chapter. And then the 4th chapter is looking out and saying, okay, so now that you know who you are, where can you plug in those gifts and abilities and passions and purposes? What is the problem that you can solve in the world? And that's the 4th chapter. And then the 5th chapter is Ablaze. How can we stay ablaze despite circumstances, despite difficulties? how can we go ahead and stay ablaze for the rest of our days?
Mm.
And so I take it through an acronym of Ablaze. And
No, I
so
absolutely love
that's
that.
that's the essence of the book. And it's one that you can kind of pick up. You don't have to read it from front to back. You may go, you know what? I need to start at chapter 3. I've got to figure out who my passion and purpose is, and then, kind of work from there.
Of course. My question for you, and I absolutely love, and it's not the first time I've heard it, your mission statement, your PMP. Talk to us about, how did you even get to the point to even know that? Because before you're able to have the guardrails, before you're able to speak confidently about your mission statement, before you're able to say no or say yes to opportunities, you had to actually write it down. But there's somebody listening right now that may not even know where to start with writing down their mission statement. So that's the first step. So how would you coach that person in at least starting that process?
Right. I have some templates that you can use in the book where you go, so, who I am, who I want to reach for the reason of, is like one of the templates. And it's much more difficult than it sounds. Because when you start really dialing it down, so what do I really want to do? And not only what do I really want to do, but why do I want to do it? And then, do I want to, who's the audience that I want to reach? What's the problem that I'm going to solve in the world? And so it's crafting that, of coming through of knowing what your prowess is, what your purpose is, what your passion is, and then connecting it to a problem in the world is what I call the Ablaze equation of going through that. So that I kind of outline it in the book, of being able to connect those things.
Wow. I think that a lot of times we look at what somebody's doing now and we could be wowed by that. And I'm always wowed when you start talking. But there was a series of events or a mentor or an experience that helped you get to this point in life. How did you learn this perspective that you have? What what were you exposed to? Who coached you to be able to help you become who you are today?
Great question. Great question. One, I have a deep spiritual faith. And so going through that journey of a relationship with God, and getting wisdom from the good book, the scriptures, the Bible, and as well, some of the great motivational speakers of our time. I remember when I first started my career, I saw Zig Ziglar, kind of the pioneer of motivational speakers. And I was just like, I've never heard this before. How did I not know this? And so I was really stunned by how he talked about there's a certain success technology that we can do, of there's certain things in terms of goal setting and attitudinally, where we can go ahead and continue to have success in life, but there was a system that went with it that I never knew about. And I talk about an aspirational model. And my aspirational model in that motivational speaking realm is Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn, who passed away a decade or so ago, was truly legendary in how he could talk about the seasons of life, and the wisdom of being able to acknowledge. One of my favorite quotes of his is, you cannot avoid one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And so I started learning from the wisdom of others, and standing on the shoulders of those that have come before me, and really studying that, of realizing, what, it's not by random chance. One of the things that I like to ask people, and I know how you would answer this, but people in general gravitate to one of two poles: an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. Locus means mode. And so, do you believe that you are largely governed by your situation and your circumstances, or do you believe that you have control over how you maybe can't control a circumstance or a life situation, but you can control how you react to it? And I'm very much an internal locus of control guy. But I got to tell you, and we did lunch last week, and I shared with you some of the challenges that are going on in my life right now. That's easier said than done.
Of course.
And so it's a daily battle to stay positive in a negative world. So I don't know if that answers your specific question of how did I learn, but this has been, I have long for many decades now had a passion for personal growth. And it's serving me well now because it helps me to navigate these incredibly choppy waters that I can't control. I can't control the weather. I can't control what other people say and do, but I can still control my reaction to it, even though there's impulses that want me to be skewed more toward the negative than the positive. And so that's why, again, I say it in regards to this book, and anyone who sees me and listens to me is they know this is not a rose-colored glasses type book. Again, I can't state it enough. It has been born out of much pain. In fact, most of the book I wrote with a broken arm because I couldn't do the things that I really wanted to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to write my book. It was a daily decision because it would depress me because everyone else was out playing paddle, platform tennis, which I love. I couldn't because my arm was broken. So I said, all right, for the 3 hours that those guys are going to have happy hour and have all the fun and all that, I'm going to go up into my writing cave and I'm going to write for 3 hours.
That's powerful.
And this is the result.
That's powerful. It's kind of like I gave a speech a few weeks ago, and I ended the speech with talking about, who in the room is a runner, and most of the people raised their hand, and I said everyone should have raised their hand because either you're running from something or you're running towards something. Right. And a few weeks before that speech, and then I talked about it, but a few weeks before that, I was having a conversation with my mom at lunch, and she was explaining to me one of her colleagues was running away from an abusive relationship and ended up in the woods. And she ended up living in the woods for 3 months as she ran from this tough relationship. But now, fast forward years later, she's become a hiker, and she's, experienced so much in the wood, and she's found herself. And she talks about like reimagining this life without the woods. So sometimes what we run from gets us towards what we're supposed to be running towards. So what you were running from, or what took you away from the court, allows you to create something that's going to help so many different people. Right. My question for you is, I was having a conversation this morning, and we were talking about the difference between physical challenges and mental challenges. And a lot of my challenges that I try to get myself into are physical challenges and running marathons and all these different things. What was the last mental challenge that shook you up that you made it through, and how did you do it?
Oh boy, how long do we have in this podcast?
I know, right?
I mean, that's a dangerous question to ask me because I could bring up so many different ones, but I'll choose one because I recorded my thoughts laying in a hospital bed in the cardiac ward of the hospital in Uptown Charlotte after my open heart surgery.
Oh.
And I was there, and I decided I'm going to record my thoughts of just this experience, which just for those that are listening, as a recommendation, if you are considering an elective surgery, choose one different than open heart. And maybe Botox or cosmetic surgery or whitening teeth. I would not choose open heart surgery as one is elective surgery. Yes. Technically, this was elective, but they said, Tim, if you don't get it, you may not be doing this podcast with Kyle a year later. Yes. So I had the open heart surgery. The reason why I choose that one is I actually wrote and recorded actually in my voice recorder. What's more difficult, the misery of the mind or the breaking of the body?
Say that again, please, Tim. Oh my gosh.
What is more difficult, the misery of the mind or the breaking of the body? And I paused as I was recording my thoughts. And this was early in the, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, still kind of drugged up and, in intense physical pain. The first 4 days were brutal in the hospital recovering, because they had to cut the chest open and, the whole deal. And I concluded that the misery of the mind was far more difficult than the physical pain of open heart surgery.
Wow.
And the reason why, the most difficult part of it, was the run up to the surgery. The surgery was on December 13th of 2021. And I had about an 8-week period there from scheduling the surgery to the actual surgery. And I would tell people, I go, gosh, this feels like a death march. I go, ooh, probably maybe not the best term to use, this is, but I go, oh my gosh, the weight is killing me. And I go, no, I probably shouldn't use that term either. But it was excruciating because the heaviness of knowing what I was going to face was so much more difficult than actually facing it.
Wow.
And I love Mark Twain's quote, to paraphrase, is he said, I have had so many terrible things that have occurred to me, most which never happened. He conjured this up. Now, I wasn't imagining so much how difficult this would be, but it was controlling my mind of saying it was literally 48 to 72 hours, probably 48 hours before the surgery, where I think I finally had the right mindset. And this is to answer your question of how to overcome mental challenges. I thought of 2 groups of people. I thought of boxers and I thought of those in the military.
Wow.
When boxers step into the ring, they know they're going to get hurt. Almost guaranteed they are going to get hurt.
Of course.
They're in a fight that they want to win, and so they know they're going to get hurt and they're going to hopefully deliver hurt. As a boxer, that's your attitude. Far more importantly, I thought of those in D-Day, World War II, that were getting off the boat in Normandy, knowing there was a better than 50% chance that they were not going to survive, and did it anyway. And they had that fighting spirit of there's something bigger to live for. So that goes back to our passion and the purpose of, if we know who we are and if we know why we're here, it can help us get through those mental challenges. And I have learned, and it's a constant battle for me, that life is not about me. It's about others. And I believe it was Emerson that said one of the great miracles of life is you can't give to others without also giving to yourself.
Of course.
And it's hard because, sometimes I want to be like, I believe it's Toby Keith said, what about me? What about mine? What about number one? My, oh my, you're the country music song. And I go, hey, what about me? And I got to tell myself, Tim, it's not about you, so that helps me get through the tough times, and it's helping me get through tough times even as we speak.
Tim, you have had an amazing career. And you've had the privilege of meeting and doing business and connecting with some of the leaders and top performers in industries and in sports and all of these different things. If you could identify one area of your life that you're most proud of, what would that area be?
I would say that what I'm most proud of is being able to leave footprints on another person's heart in a positive way. I would love to say I have 100% success in that. I like to think that I am able to spread that light, laughter, and love to all who cross my path. But I'm also an imperfect person. I have bad days. I say things and go, I need to apologize for that. That I didn't say it the right way. I said things I shouldn't have. We all go through that. And I would say I'm most proud of the people that I've worked with and for, of mostly, when I'm around people, they come away and go, oh my gosh, that was so great. Whatever it was, whether it was announcing a ball game or a speaking event, or I read your book and it helped me so much, or thank you for the coaching that you get, or thank you for your wisdom, is I want to be a better lover.
Mm.
And I mean that not in the way a lot of people are listening. Oh, really? You're gonna share that with Kyle? It's like, but I need to amp up the positive qualities of love and forgiveness and grace and mercy and those qualities of saying, I know I can be better than that. And there's models out there where I go, you know what, I need to be more like Mother Teresa, and who gave her life away, or Nelson Mandela, or some of the great lovers in the world, because we don't have enough of that. We're in such a toxic culture right now that it's just things have gotten so mean spirited, and I don't want to contribute to that conversation. I want to be an antidote to it.
I love that. I love that. What's next for you, Tim? You have your book. You have this strategy to navigating challenges. What would be next for you, and how somebody listening, how could they support you in that effort?
Well, thank you for asking. Is that really the next step? It's been interesting. You talk about getting pulled in different directions. Just as a quick little aside, I'm a director of paddle sports at Old Providence Racket Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I teach pickleball, which is growing like a weed. It's unbelievable, the thousands of people that are pouring into the game. And I also teach platform tennis, which we nickname paddle, which is very segmented in the Chicago area and upper Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
But I teach both of those sports, and I agreed to do a YouTube video series in teaching pickleball. Well, it's just gone viral. I mean, it's just the videos. There's one video that's got nearly 130,000 views, and I got a call from Ohio the other day. He wants to fly in and train with me and all that. And I love teaching, but I don't want to do that full time. Does it fulfill? So this is a good example here.
Here we go.
Does doing that pickleball video teaching series, does it fulfill my personal purpose and mission statement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does it leave footprints on another person's heart? I think, yeah. When I'm on the courts, I want to get them pumped up. I want to teach them. Mm-hmm. Do I create stick to the ribs type experiences while I'm on the court? I hope so. And I hope it's filled with light, laughter, and love. So I'm not outside the guardrails, but it's not also the one thing I want to do. I do want to get the message of the book out. I do want to be able to speak and to coach and to have impact on as many people as possible using those platforms. And I also need to have you on my podcast that I'm rebranding. You were on the Spider Monkey Junkie, my first one, and it's going to be the Blase to Ablaze podcast that I'm going to crank back up. And so I want to be able to get that message out. So succinctly, what's next for me is I need to take the mission statement I took so much time to write and practice it in the world.
I love that. I love that, Tim. I have a question for you. I want you to go back to the times where you experienced challenges. Go back to that time where you were feeling, all of the feelings preparing to go into open heart surgery, all of the feelings, whether it's personal, whether it's family, whether it's business, whatever it is in your life. What were the things that you wish somebody would have told you during that time that would have helped you better navigate those times? And think about the person that needs to hear that right now. What would you have wanted to hear?
It's not permanent. Things change quickly. What do they say? That they say, two things that for sure: death and taxes. Everything else is going to change very quickly. And I think so often when we're in difficult circumstances in life that it overtakes us completely, and we think it's never going to end. And that's why, the oft-used phrase, never say never or always, is true. Is the difficult circumstances that I'm in right now are not going to last forever. Now, there's no guarantees it's going to get better either, but it will be different. And that is the joy, the adventure, the challenge, sometimes the heartbreak, and the misery of life in periods, but it's a chapter. So I wish that when I was younger, going through difficult times, that I had someone who would put their arm around me and say, Tim, this is a difficult chapter in your life, but it's not the book. This, what you're going through now, is not the entire book. It's a chapter. It could be a very long chapter, but it's a chapter of the book. And I'm telling myself that right now, of saying this is a chapter. This is a snapshot. If you know, say if you're watching a parade and you're on street level and a big float comes by, all you see is the float. But if you're on top of the building, you see the entire parade.
Good.
And God sees the entire parade, but we're street level, you know? And so when we're street level, all we see is the float and you go, man, that is the ugliest float I've ever seen in my life. Oh gosh, this is the parade. You go, no. It's just one float in the parade. Right. And so having that perspective of it's temporary, hold on, stay at it, stick to it, don't quit, persistence, you can get through it. You know, there's a country song that says, if you're going through hell, just keep on going. You never know. You might go through it with the devil not even knowing your name. And that's the key, is so much of it is just like, you know, suck it up, put on your big boy or big girl pants on and be tough, because it will change. And the flip side of that is when things are going really good. And some of you may be out here and you're listening and they go, man, I'm hitting on all cylinders right now. Be prepared. It's going to change. You're going to have some tough times that are going to go through. So slow and steady wins the race.
Tim, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So much. I expected this 100%. Where can people support you? Where can people get your book? How can people book you to speak? All of those different things.
Well, thank you for asking. And it has been a pleasure. We've gotten to know each other quite well over the last couple of years. And I just enjoy every interaction that we have. And you're doing so many great things. I can't wait to start digging into your book as well. You know, The Writer's Game, which is just out, and so proud of what you're doing as well. You can go to my website, which is timbuwick.com. It's Buwick. You can go to Amazon and just simply type in Tim Buwick, and Blase to Ablaze will go on. You can also type in Tim Buwick into YouTube. It's a channel that I need to merge a couple of channels together there, but you can find my videos up there as well. One thing that I need to do when you say what's next for me is saying that I need to continue to create content and to create encouraging messages for people, because I meet so many people that are not only just blasé, but they're suffering from depression and anxiety and feeling lost and lonely and bored. And there's so much, if we consume too much social media content or just news in general, there's so much negativity in the world that I want to spread that positively. Also at Tim Buwick and in Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So you can find me there.
Love it. Love it. Anybody listening right now, whether you're on the live stream, on the different platforms, or if you're watching the recording, I want you to go buy 5 copies of Tim's book, Blase to Ablaze. I want you to go support him as a speaker. Anybody on the LinkedIn network, he is dynamic, a genuine spirit, and just an amazing leader that has helped me in so many different avenues and success. And he needs to be on your next platform. So if you have an event, if you have a classroom, if you have a college, then you need to be able to bring him in to be able to perform as well as produce leaders that they're continuing to move forward in life. Look, Tim, this has been amazing. If you are watching this podcast for the first time, I need you to like, share, and subscribe to the channels on whatever platform you're on. And this is the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice, monetize your message, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, Kyle.